All right, yo, cigar vibes and cognac conversation. Today, I have a special guest. This is based around a whole bunch of cigar talk. I have today my man Clint, tobacconist from the Webster area. The cigars that we're having today represent the vibe. Usually the cognac, but the spirit we're having today is the tequila, represent the conversation. The tequila is the Gran Coramino Reposado Cristalino. For the cigar that I'm having in particular is the Opus X Siglo.
And I am having the Levy-Joux 1922 box press torpedo.
But did you say this one was again?
That is the CAO Orellana.
Okay.
It's no longer in production. You can't find it anywhere. So.
And I have another guest, my man Keith. What is the one you gave?
He is smoking the Brulee Blue from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust.
And Justin.
All right, the Posterchio 146.
Cool, which is about to be disconnected.
Yeah,
Discontinued, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Clint, man, go ahead and tell the people who may be listening and catch this show a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself, let them know what you do on the tobacco side of things.
So, I'm a tobacconist, and I fell in love with this hobby, I guess, because it was like a forbidden fruit at the time. I had quit smoking every form of tobacco in 2011, and then joined a cult, and then everything was bad. Then, after finally realizing that, and I'm using the term cult slightly exaggerated, and I mean slightly exaggerated. I don't think that the leader of that organization was purposely trying to abuse us with wrong doctrine. I just think he was just wrong, and that's just what he knew. But anyway, so once I left that church, I ended up indulging in perfumery, so buying colognes because that was seen as sensual at the time, and I wasn't allowed to wear cologne. And then I decided to try cigars and fell in love with it. And I'm naturally the type of person that anything that I love, I just go deep into it. And I fell in love with my experience smoking a cigar and decided to become a nerd and become a tobacconist so that I can really get training from people in the industry and learn about the different types of tobacco, because even though you can find out things online, it's different whenever you have people that are experienced and they're in these shops and are speaking to the manufacturers. So yeah.
Right on. I think that's pretty interesting. Before cigars, were you a cigarette smoker?
Yeah, so like 2011?
I asked that because I've heard a fair amount of folks get into smoking cigars after being cigarette smokers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 2011 on backwards, I used to smoke Black and Milds. I used to smoke I would smoke Camel Crushes, I would smoke Newports. I'd smoke anything you handed to me at that time, and I mean almost anything except crack, because I was just out there. But yeah, I always enjoyed the taste of tobacco itself. Like even at that time, sometimes I would just smoke a Swisher without emptying the contents of it out and filling it with something else. So I just enjoyed the taste of tobacco. I mean, my father, my grandmother, both grandmothers, I've always been around tobacco in some form my whole life. So I don't know. I'm not trying to say, oh, well, because my dad did it, I'm gonna do it. I wasn't trying to copy him or my family. It's just I just naturally gravitated toward it because my friend group at the time were smoking. So, yeah.
Same way. Well, not completely the same way. I never smoked cigarettes. Never had a thing for cigarettes. The Black and Miles, of course, coming from Galveston, that ended up being the thing. Black and Miles, probably. I don't know. I don't want to say too early, but shortly, mainly the Prince Albert vanilla. That was a big thing where I'm from, Galveston, Texas. That was a big thing. So, as far as cigars, it would be that. The only other time you catch me with a cigar, we was putting in something green, baby. So, my father used to smoke the Swishers with the tips on them, which. Like it wasn't Black and Mild. He would actually just smoke the Swisher with the tips and drink and stuff like that. I think he did used to smoke a couple of big age cigars and stuff like that. He hunt, fish, he did it all, cowboy and all that. So it's good. It's interesting. And you're fairly young, correct?
Yeah, 32.
32. Around. What time? What age were you when you had your first cigar?
My 18th birthday. My 18th birthday, I had what I now know is a fake Monte Cristo number 2, and I inhaled that and threw up outside of my mom's house, all over the curb, and yeah, I that didn't stop me because. At that time, man, I had such an ego on me. My friends would watch me throw up, and I just had so much pride. I'd be like, "Oh, it's cool," and then went right back to smoking it like I'm not fazed by it. But really, man, that was horrible. I mean, that'll tear your throat up inhaling it.
We shared a similar story. That was something similar to me. I shared on a previous podcast episode. My first time. Going down 6th Street in Austin, Texas, an elder cousin, he had what was supposed to have been a Cuban. He actually had excess at that time, but he was more advanced than me. He ended up smoking a cigar and passed it to me, and I hit it. And I hit it like you hit the weed, which is, the number one sin. And I tell people I coughed up a lung and an arm and an ear and all kind of things. So I was never the same. And I was, hey, man, let's bust this down. What we doing? Let's roll it up. He was like, nah, fool. Cost too much money. This, that, and the third. So, yeah, we share that right there. That's crazy. Up in Austin, Texas, 2005. Let's talk about some of your favorite cigars, man. What's some of your favorite go-to cigars?
So, my favorite cigar is not the best cigar I've ever had.
Well, give me 5 of your
Okay.
5.
But my absolute favorite cigar is what I'm smoking right now. This is the Levy Joux 1922 from My Father Cigars. And it's not something that I would recommend to everybody.
Why
Because, well, 1, it's strong. 2, it's spicy on the last third. And I mean like red pepper spice. But I love spicy food, so I like a spicy cigar. Now, the first third, it has a nice chocolate note to it.
Let me pause you real quick and interject. Explain to people what you mean when you say third.
Okay, so
This is for the new cigar smokers, guys that just don't know. They just smoke cigars. They're not familiar with thirds and the breakdown of a cigar.
So when you review a cigar, you review it in the first third, the second third, and the last third, which is the first third is what you're getting in the very first third of the cigar, from when you light it up until the first third. Then you'll oftentimes, and the reason it's reviewed this way is because a cigar, what you taste on light up is not what you're going to taste throughout the entire cigar, generally speaking. And I mean, most of the time, you're going to experience transitions, especially above a certain price point. You're going to start to experience more complexity, more transitions, and experience various flavor profiles. Usually when you're smoking cheap tobacco, cheap cigars that are using the exact same types of tobacco in the filler, in the binder, and on the wrapper leaf, you're smoking one leaf, so you're not experiencing very much complexity because there's not a lot of ingredients added to the quote-unquote dish, right? So blenders will purposely put different types of leaves, maybe one leaf maybe from Nicaragua, one leaf maybe from Honduras, another leaf maybe from the Dominican Republic, or sometimes they'll blend up to 7, 8, 10 different leaves just to be able to keep it interesting. Because when you taste the exact same thing from light up to the end, it's a boring cigar. And sometimes you want a boring cigar. If you're reading a book, you want a boring cigar. You don't want the cigar to be so good that it distracts you from what you're doing. But if you're really smoking a cigar to smoke a cigar and you've made that hour of time your time to smoke a cigar, then I personally go for something extremely complex that I get to really just focus on one thing. Because, Steve Harvey, he talks about cigars being like a meditation or like yoga, right?
Yeah.
And I agree. When you get to focus on one thing, like in yoga, you're focusing on your breathing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this way, you're focusing on just what you're pulling out of the cigar. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about all of the things that need to be done at home. You get to just focus on one thing and get to relax. But yeah, the different thirds, you'll experience transitions. So that's why they're reviewed in that manner of first, second, and then the last third, which is the very end where it gets close to your fingertips.
Gotcha. Okay. So the My Father Lived You, that is the 1922?
1922.
Okay, and what you got after that? 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So my second favorite cigar, and which is actually, it should be my first favorite cigar because I actually think it's better than this cigar in every single way. But this one is special to me for nostalgic reasons. Now, my second favorite cigar, which is really my first, is the Davidoff Royal Release, which I don't even believe that they produce this cigar anymore. I know that they're still available in shops, but I don't think that they are able to produce this cigar anymore. So in the coming years, you're likely not going to see it anymore.
It's a damn good stick.
Yeah, it
Very
is.
expensive too.
And, $115.
Yeah.
And I had it on my 30th birthday. That was my first time smoking it. I wanted to really... I buy expensive cigars for occasions that I don't ever want to forget. The more expensive it is and the more it hurts me to buy it, the more I'm going to remember what I smoked on that special occasion.
Right.
So on my 30th birthday, I'm never going to forget what I smoked because it hurt me to buy the cigar being that expensive. And when I had that cigar, I went out with my friends and I told them, I was like, look, I know this is a party and we're going to have fun, but for however long it takes me to smoke this cigar, don't you say a word to me. Don't talk to me at all because all of my attention is going to understanding what this cigar tastes like. So I sat with a sparkling water and that cigar in the cigar lounge with my friends around me, and I smoked that cigar entirely, and then we went and enjoyed ourselves. But yeah, that was phenomenal. Then I had it on my wedding day, and I had it on another occasion because
it's definitely dope. We're gonna come back to that particular stick later on too. But okay, what's after that? So that's 1A and 1B, and so 1 and 2. Give me your other 3, and they don't have to be in order, but we know you're number 1.
Okay. So I don't like to include cigars that, like, there's other cigars that I actually think are better than this, but that I was disappointed in for other reasons. Like, for instance, I really liked the Plasencia Etafal, and I liked the Plasencia Year of the Tiger.
I haven't had the Etafal. I haven't even heard of the Etafal.
Well, it was the World Cup cigar, and I really like them, and I think that they're both better than the cigar I'm going to name, but the construction on them or the price make me not like it. It was either too expensive or the construction wasn't great despite the flavor being phenomenal, right?
Okay.
So the cigar I'm actually going to name is the Alma Fuerte Claro which it has a green band, and it's a medium tone wrapper leaf, kind of like the color of coffee with cream in it. And yeah, I specifically like to smoke the hexagon. It's pressed like a hexagon.
Placencia.
Yeah, Placencia.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not the Alma Fuerte Maduro. It's the Alma Fuerte Claro.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lighter colored one. But yeah, I just love the sweet cream that you get out of it, and the leather and the cashew nuttiness. It's delicious.
It wasn't worth the price though.
Oh, that's worth the price every day of the week. Yeah. But the other two Placencias that were like super special edition, I didn't think they were worth the price though. They're not in my top.
And so are your top? Is there any less pricey cigars that could possibly knock any one of your top 5 out of place? Either one of them. An overlooked, let's say, $20 and under. Is there such? Have you had such? Like, man, that's just a damn good cigar, and it only costs about.
I mean, there's plenty. I smoke usually affordable cigars more than I smoke expensive cigars.
Okay.
So, there's plenty of cigars that I love. Specifically, like almost every My Father cigar I love, and the reason is I like spicy food, and the last third of My Fathers have a very unique spice that's similar to like a red pepper spice that I enjoy. And they have a really nice sweetness on the first 2/3, typically. So, but beating out like the ones that I named, no. I think that you get what you pay for to a certain extent. But I don't recommend that new smokers start off expensive. I think that this is my opinion, and I've been criticized for this on my YouTube channel. But I think that there's plenty of affordable options that you're going to be able to appreciate without you having to spend an outrageous amount of money, because I think that just how like people have to learn to appreciate black coffee. Most people don't like black coffee when they start tasting it. There has to be an appreciation for tobacco, and then there has to be an appreciation for discerning the different flavor notes to really justify spending that much money on a cigar. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I think, you know what? Even if you're a novice, if it's your wedding day, then ball out, because you're never going to forget what you smoked, right? But if you're just trying to get into the hobby, you don't need to spend over $15 to have a good cigar. I think there's plenty of cigars in the $8 to $15 range, and you can stay there and live there for the rest of your life and not be missing out on a whole lot.
Makes sense. Being that you're a professional in this industry, first of all, if there was a count, would you be able to count how many cigars you smoked in your life since being a tobacconist?
No, I wouldn't know.
Not a particular number, but I mean in the hundreds, thousands,
Oh,
1500s.
I'm beyond the thousands.
Beyond thousands.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I smoke between 2 to 4 cigars a day, sometimes more when I'm hanging out with friends. So, I mean, multiply that by 365 days. I mean, it adds up extremely quickly. I don't know how many cigars I've smoked.
You got me beat. That's a lot of cigars too. I've went into the cigar lounge with the intentions of smoking 1, maybe 2 cigars, and before you know it, I got buddies coming in, and conversation is flowing, and it's getting so good, and the good sports is on TV, and it's flowing, and before you know it, I think I've made it to 4.
You know, Winston Churchill smoked 11 a day.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the most I've ever smoked is 8. And I don't know how this man was able to smoke 11.
Yeah.
Like, it would have to be a goal of mine to even achieve 11. So, I don't know how he just casually did that.
Which is usually considered, if I'm not mistaken, that's a box. A box of 10 for sure.
Like a box of 10,
most boxes of the top high end cigars, at least in this day. I don't know about back then.
Right. Yeah.
Coming
They
in
didn't.
10.
Mhm.
So he was freight training, baby. He was
Yeah.
he was really blowing it down.
Shoot, they used to have boxes of 100 and boxes of 50.
Yeah, what's crazy is I just heard that.
Yeah.
I just heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Rocky Patel actually, when he released his Decade or his Edge, it's his Edge. He released them in boxes of 50 or 100, and you can still buy them online from Rocky Patel himself. But nobody else does that, man. Nobody. One, most people don't have humidors that can accommodate that many cigars. Unless you're a daily cigar smoker or unless you're just wealthy and just like collecting cigars. But usually people have like a 20 count humidor or a travel case, and that's like their main supply that they tap into once a month or whatever. But yeah, that's ridiculous, dude.
I got some specific questions I want to ask you. I got some notes, but before that, this one here. So with you being in this profession and considered an expert on cigars, is every cigar you smoke, does it require research? Like for every cigar you smoke, are you always studying and it has to be notes? Is it ever just a relaxed leisure? Man, I'm slumped. I had a day. Whoo, I just want a good stick. I don't care what the notes are. Are you always studying every single stick?
So
is every single stick work?
Every single stick that I smoke for the first time, I find out what regions the tobacco is coming from, and I like to just research what factory it came out of, because just because a cigar may be made by a certain manufacturer doesn't mean that the tobacco came from that factory. Like for instance, I know,
Joseph.
Yeah, one of Joseph's favorite cigars is the Envy from Romeo y Julieta. Well,
I like
that tobacco came from the Plasencia factory. So I like to know. I don't know, man. I'm just a nerd, dude. I like to know. I like to know what it is that I'm gonna smoke, because I don't. You know, you use the word expert, and I've met experts, and I've been astounded by the amount of knowledge that
was one of the
these
questions I
experts really know. The one guy that I've been blown away by his knowledge was a man named Travis Pappenheim. He was basically hired to just be the nerd for Altadis, which Altadis is the parent company of Romeo y Julieta. They're the parent company of H. Upmann, Monte Cristo. I mean, all of these heritage brands of tobacco. He was hired, hey, go to these fields and study tobacco and then train. That's all we want you to do. So that,
say his name one more time.
Travis Pappenheim.
Pappenheim.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy, he can go into how much humidity is in a particular type of cigar when they're firm. I mean, he knows from seed to box from when you receive it. I know from box, and that's it. All of the knowledge that I've gained outside of box was me researching it. He's had hands-on experience with learning from Plasencia himself. He was mentored by Plasencia in the field. So, I mean, he's really what I would consider an expert. I mean, I may know more than most people,
right.
But I'm not the 1% of the 1% like he is. He's on another level.
Have you had the experience of traveling over to any of the?
No, man. But when I do, so I'm supposed to go with Nish and Rocky to their Nicaraguan fields.
And it was Nish and Rocky.
Oh, I'm sorry. So there's a brand of cigars called Rocky Patel Cigars, and his brother, who is also a part of the company, is Nish Patel. So we've been talking about it for years at this point of going out to visit his fields in Nicaragua, because he has 2 fields. He has one field in Nicaragua, and then he has another field in Honduras. The one I'm most interested in is Nicaragua, and the reason is because I prefer Nicaraguan tobacco.
Right.
Nicaraguan tobacco is fuller flavored, fuller strength, and I tend to go on the stronger side of cigars, typically.
Okay. For any of my guests in here, y'all have any questions from them? Y'all learned anything? Drop some nuggets on me that I've never heard, and I do a minute study of cigars. You know, I'm nowhere near into coconuts, but I try to share a lot of insights when I learn about a stick. You kind of can get those views from my Instagram page, Cigar Vibes and Cognac Conversations. Every now and then when I feel like putting a caption or it's a new stick, I put a couple of, well, I'm not going to say notes, I put more of the info that you can get about the cigar or what I experienced about it. And I have a lot of people that, not a lot, I say a few, maybe a lot, that actually hit me and say they learned things from my page. And I'm like, shit, hey, I got so much to learn. But they ask me about sticks and stuff like that. What's a good one? Or they see one that I post and say, man, I'm gonna try that. So that's dope. I walk into your shop and I say, tell me about the Rocky Patel. Is it the Disciple? The Disciple.
Yeah.
How would you break that down to me?
Full body, meaning like the actual texture of the smoke. You're going to get a lot of smoke output. It's going to be thick smoke, full strength. So the nicotine content in the leaf is actually pretty strong and full flavored. So you're actually going to be getting a lot of flavor from it. The cigar, you're going to get really nice chocolate notes from it, but you're also going to be getting something that sets it apart from every other cigar in the humidor that makes this either a hate it or love it type of cigar. And that's this meaty, almost pork-like taste from that cigar. And then you're going to get earth as the base underneath all of that. You'll get a little bit of spice and a little bit of black pepper on light up, but those are the dominant flavor profiles, is that earthy, porky chocolate. That's
for now, that's probably one of my favorite Rockies. I haven't had a lot of Rockies. I probably only had maybe 3. My guy right here to the far right is a fan of Rocky. And that's the one, that Disciple I like.
Yeah, it's a great stick.
So let's do a little cigar comparison. The Levy Jew versus the Davidoff Late Hour. If those cigars were doing a battle and you were doing that comparison on your Facebook page, Momento Cigars, by the way, I would give that a follow. If you can read me out here, you can see me. How would you break that battle down?
So one thing that my phone is recording. So one thing that like whenever reviewers give these cigars a rating, it's not.
You can go ahead and grab this mic.
They're not creating this number arbitrarily by just making it up based on how they feel. It's not like a woman, right? When men rate women, we rate them from 1 to 10, right? And that's based on what we think a 10 is, or what we think. I don't even know if 1s exist. I'm sure they probably do, but anyway, when it comes to cigars, there's actually guidelines in which you rate that cigar for it to come out to 100. I've never smoked 100 before. No, thank you. I've never had 100, and I don't believe in 100 personally. But one thing that you'll look at, like if you look at the Levy Jus, the Levy Jus has pronounced veins on the wrapper leaf, which would deduct a point from the cigar. the Levy Jus also has burn issues, which will deduct, I believe it's up to 3 points. I have my chart that I utilize when I do these reviews. Another thing is the aroma. Sometimes it's the ash. I mean, there's it's a multi-factor rating system that contributes to whether or not the cigar is better or worse. And I think that if we're going to go based on the rating system that Cigar Aficionado uses, or these more established cigar reviewers use, then the late hour is objectively the better cigar. Now, when it comes to taste, some people are going to like the Levy Jus more than the late hour. Some people are going to like the late hour more than the Levy Jus. But I think that overall, it's not a one-to-one comparison. The Davidoff late hour is superior, but it's too darn expensive.
Yeah, definitely. Since they went up, that's hopping on to the Davidoff brand. That is actually my first Davidoff. So I guess I'm guessing I jump right to the top, experiencing Davidoff
right.
somewhere up in there, somewhere on the roof.
Well, it's affordable cigar. It's no longer an affordable.
It's no longer
Yeah. That's my favorite. That was my favorite. Is my favorite Davidoff, and then of course, like you said, they upped the price, just ridiculous. We share something similar. I heard you mention something earlier when you said your favorite cigar, which is the one you're smoking, the Mount Father Levy Jus,
Yeah.
1922,
Yeah.
is your number one, but there are better cigars.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things that are my favorite that I know there's things that's better, but
Yes.
because of whatever reason, I've always been like that as a kid. Something that's my favorite,
Yeah.
it's my favorite.
Right.
I'm not really a ship jumper, bandwagon on certain things.
Same.
So that being my first Davidoff, to me, it was good. I was like, man. So after that, that's what made me start checking out other Davidoffs.
Yeah.
Right. And then also, like you, I had the Royal Release. Phenomenal stick. But at that time, it was $105. Right now, it's about $115 price.
Yeah, right.
So
Pre-tax.
pre-tax.
Right.
So it was $105, and phenomenal stick. But I've only had it once, and I'm like, this is not of course, an every day or every week, maybe not even an every month smoke.
No.
It has to be a special occasion.
Yeah.
That one was actually gifted to me, and much appreciated. The guy sitting on the far left gifted it to me, and I couldn't wait to smoke it, and then I smoked it, and it was phenomenal. Davidoff. A lot of people seem to say, or think, people that I've talked to about cigars, having conversations, it's actually a lot of people that think Davidoff is overrated.
Yeah. Well, so the reason. Okay. So you happen to smoke one of the Davidoffs that break the mold of what Davidoff is. Davidoff is a mild to medium cigar manufacturer. They primarily worked with Dominican tobacco, at least in the New World, not their Cuban form of Davidoff, which is no longer available. Well, those old Cubans. Anyway, so because they use that Dominican tobacco, Dominican usually, except for like brands like La Flor Dominicana, that's more of a full-bodied Dominican. But if you smoke Ashton, if you smoke Fuente, if you smoke Davidoff, and if you smoke Monte Cristo, they're usually using Dominican tobacco. Dominican tobacco is usually lighter in strength, it's lighter in body, it's lighter in flavor. So people that, I think especially the American palate, and even more the minority palate. So non-European palate, we have a lot of spices in our food, we have a lot of fried foods, we have a lot of rich flavors, whereas the European palate is very bland, right? And Davidoff has very bland cigars in their portfolio for the most part, unless you're smoking the Millennium or if you're smoking the what is it? The late hour. The late hour. Those two were their attempt at full-bodied cigars that kind of broke the mold from their traditional Connecticut style or just sun-grown natural leaf, where they're very mild or nutty. They went all in on this newer way of blending because cigars over the past maybe 10 years have started to go a lot bolder in flavor profile. Like the Liga Privada uses what's called a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper leaf on it, which is this dark, rich, earthy wrapper leaf that has like a nice chocolate profile to it. That tobacco was never used back in the day. That would have been trash. They were old time cigar smokers were looking for smooth, creamy light, which Churchill was not smoking what we're smoking today either, which is probably why I can't smoke 11 cigars in a day.
Yeah.
He was smoking a lot of lighter stuff, and it was Cuban cigars. So, yeah, I don't know what the question was, but hopefully I answered it along the way.
No, you gave me a rundown. I've just heard people say that they felt Davidoff was overrated, but I've also heard people say that about Cubans, and I'm like,
Yeah.
have you had Cubans? And then
Right.
no. I'm like, well, how the hell you get?
Yeah.
You know, so
I think the price makes it difficult for me to say,
Yeah,
oh, it's
yeah.
worth it. I never smoke a Davidoff and think it's worth the price. Like even my favorite cigar from them, the Royal, I don't think it's worth $115. I think that it's the best cigar I've ever had, but it's not worth $115. I think personally, the amount that I'm willing to spend, which to you it may be worth $115. It's
no,
all
I don't think so.
right. Okay, but you know, some people maybe they got it like that, and they're like, "Oh, $115 is nothing for me." Me, on the other hand, I think that it's worth $50 or $60. I would rather have that cigar than $50 or $60 in my pocket. That's how good it is to me. I think that it's better than everything else that I've smoked. Now, there's better cigars that I just haven't had the opportunity to come across or don't want to spend the money on. But that's just it. I can see where people are coming from when they say Davidoff is overrated, but they are. They have exceptional quality control. I mean, when you look at their wrapper leaves look almost flawless. That leaf that you're looking at on the outside of the cigar, that leaf that you get to actually look at, they have minimal veins on them. They're never having stains from water spots. When you look at the box, there's not a variation in color. They have all women in their factories because women have a higher ability to pick up differences in colors. So only women get to look at these cigars and say, okay, this is the color that I need. They have a color palette in front of them. And let's say that it's like this cocoa brown color. They're only accepting that color to enter into the box. So when you open a box of Davidoffs, you're gonna have the exact same colored cigar. But when you go cheaper, not outside of Davidoff, you may have one cigar, especially like, if you look at like the 1000 series Padrones, sometimes the 1000 series Padrones, the natural, will look just as dark as the Maduro.
They even look old school.
They what?
They even look old school.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's common amongst the other statesmen or most older men, that they love that Padron.
Yeah, right.
It even gives that presentation.
Yeah, it does.
It
does.
I never paid attention to a presentation of a cigar and the construction of it actually until looking at that layout.
Mm-hmm.
I like good sticks, and I like to smoke, and I have started paying attention to notes and trying to understand more of the cigar. Just like coffee and colognes and things like that. The late hour, looking at it, I was like, this is a beautiful cigar. I started paying attention to more of the Davidoff boxes, the Royal release, just like we were saying, and I started noticing that. I actually was looking at the Year of the Dragon just today, And I was like, damn, they pulled it out the box. The dude opened the box, and I'm like, damn, that's a nice ass looking cigar. So,
It is.
to me, they do represent a sense of elegance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even though I kind of think they're overrated in a sense, when I'm smoking a Davidoff, I feel like the man. I feel like the man. So it's like you can't put a price on that. It's like
you couldn't have said it any better. I'm right there with you.
You feel refined. You feel like a boss, man. Davidoff is just.
I do tell
one of those brands.
tell guys doing cigar talk, hey man, it don't have to be your favorite. And there's so many cigars that I have not smoked, so many different brands. Like I never had an Ashton, and I heard you talking about Ashton. I think if you smoke cigars, unless we're not even talking Cuban, I think you should at least experience a good Davidoff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about I know about him. I'm not sure about. You ever had a Davidoff? You ever had a Davidoff?
I've plenty of.
Okay. Yeah. See, my man right here. I need to get him a Davidoff. He just had a birthday that passed also, so I need to get him a
Good
Davidoff.
Connecticut.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're gonna be blown away by their Connecticut's.
That would be right up his alley.
That's what they do best.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, their Connecticut's are phenomenal.
Damn, I had something. You said something that I wanted to go. I got to see. I had a brain fart. Okay, it'll come back to me. Let's talk about flavors, tones, and notes.
Okay.
How in the world does someone become familiar with the taste of notes such as wood, cedar, earth, leather, oak, and all that type of thing?
Okay.
I don't hear you smoke cigars and say, I'm getting notes of leather.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the leather part right now.
Yeah, so explain that to me, you know. And I paid attention. I know when I'm asking a question because it had been a question for so long, and I felt you would have got for me to ask to explain to anyone that's listening.
Yeah.
But I have noticed when I'm paying attention and I'm studying the cigar now, okay, I understand the pepper. I know which ones have the pepper because I like spicy, like you said, spicy food myself, and I like strong body cigars. But when you start getting it, but you know what pepper tastes like. You know what I'm saying? Even maybe some cedar. But who in the hell knows what earth and leather? Well, I guess if you put some leather in your mouth. But how do you come up with that?
So you buy a box of leather boots, and that smell that you're getting. A lot of our sense of taste is dependent on our sense of smell.
Right.
If you hold your nose and you eat an apple and then you take a bite of an onion, most people aren't going to be able to taste the difference because of how much our olfactory senses play a part into what we eat. So when people are saying they're tasting notes of leather or tasting notes of oak, it's because they've been around when their grandfather was cutting down oak or cedar or whatever, or maybe they were working with leather before. All of these different things, they have aromas, and you'll pick it up. I think it's absolutely necessary to retrohale, which retrohaling is you taking in the smoke into your mouth, you're drawing the smoke in, you blow out 80 to 90% of the smoke out of your mouth, and that last 20 or 10% that you have left in your mouth, you blow it out through your nose. You're not inhaling, but see, your nose has more taste receptors than your tongue. So that's how you're going to be getting these flavor notes. And when it comes to earth, we've been outside where it's rained. And that when the rain hits the soil, you'll start to smell what the soil tastes like. Or if you've gardened before, then you get that soil type of smell. And sometimes there's lighter soils, lighter in color, that produce a lighter earthy type of smell. And then there's these rich dark soils that produce these dark, rich earthy smells, right? And that's how it is with cigars as well.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Very well explained. Y'all know that? Yeah, he just schooled me with some things. I want to know that. And it makes a whole lot of sense.
Cream, you gonna want to rub around your mouth.
Say it again.
Cream, you gonna want to keep that smoke in. I've come to realize that creaminess, you just want to twirl it around. You don't want to blow it out.
I know.
Retrohaling. Does it mess with your eyes when you first started retrohaling?
You
Put a
know,
little
man.
pressure on your eyes coming out your nose? I just did it a few minutes ago, but I mean, does it? I know some people who do it or try it with any kind of smoke. Their eyes get watery temporarily.
Okay, so certain types of tobacco have a tendency to do that more than others, because certain regions of the world will roll their cigars in a particular way that will produce certain flavor notes on light up. For instance, Nicaraguan tobacco, most Nicaraguan cigars, when you light them up, the first note that you're going to taste is that black pepper. Whereas when you smoke a Dominican cigar like a Fuente, you almost never get that black pepper on light up. And it's a combination of the tobacco itself and a combination of how the rollers in that region choose to roll their cigar. So if you're retrohaling a Nicaraguan cigar and you retrohale it on light up, you're going to be getting that black pepper through your nose, and that black pepper out of your nose is going to sting. But that's why I say only do the last 10% of the smoke that you retrohale. Some people will retrohale 100% of the smoke, which at that point you draw in the smoke and the smoke is still hot. It hasn't had time to cool off. So that's why I blow out 80 to 90% out of my mouth, give it some time to cool off, and then you take it out of your nose and it's less likely to burn because it's just a little bit and it's had some time to cool off. But when you're practicing, I think what'll make if you're just starting to retrohale, what's really going to make your eyes water is potentially choking on the smoke, because we have this proclivity to accidentally inhale when we're trying to do the retrohale. But I don't think it's actually the retrohale itself, unless people have just a sensitive nose in general. Some people have more sensitive nasal cavities than others.
Right. Okay. Can you share with us any interesting stories or anecdotes about the history and culture of cigars that you came across during your career up to this point?
You know, man, some people never change. And I'm that guy that just never changes. I'm an artist, but I never care about the history of things until I need to care. Like when I was in school, history was one of them subjects that I was like, I don't care. And now that I've gotten older, I've started to care only from the sense of history repeats itself. So I will value history more, but when I was in high school or when I was in grade school in general, I didn't care about history. I cared more about art class. I cared more about public speaking. I cared more about English, because I've always been into the arts more than anything else, which is why I'm into the art of cigars. So I care about how it's rolled. I care about, oh man, they're blending all of these different types of tobacco, which is kind of like painting with leaves, right? But I don't dive into the history, and I'm not knowledgeable on the history. So I wish I had something to give you of value, but I'm not that guy.
Okay. What advice would you provide to someone who's new in the world of cigars and tobacco and wants to explore different varieties and flavors? What would become a tobacconist to a young cat?
Okay. I think
starting out, he wants to know what's.
So, depending on, I don't smoke infused cigars hardly ever. I'll smoke, AKA flavored cigars. I'll put that out there for those that don't know what an infused cigar is, right? But that's what I usually recommend a lot of new smokers that don't care to go the traditional route. When somebody comes into my humidor and they're like, hey, I want to try, this is my first cigar, what do you recommend? I first ask them, do you want something flavored or do you want something traditional? Traditional is just going to be pure tobacco and that's it. And flavored is going to be botanical oils or herbs that are sweetening the leaf. So if you want it to taste sweet and you just want a cigar to taste good, then I recommend going infused first. Then once you acquire a taste for tobacco, then that's when you can venture off into traditional cigars. But let's say that you really want to smoke just traditional cigars because maybe you were a cigarette smoker and you smoked Marlboro Reds and you just like the taste of tobacco and you're not into flavored stuff, right? Oh, or maybe you smoked pipe tobacco and you want to get into cigars. Then what I do is something that hardly anybody else does other than my mentor. His name is David Sandoval. He's the one that taught me how to do this, which is I'll ask them what their favorite meat is, what their favorite vegetable is, what their favorite starch, dessert, whether they like spicy food, and whether they drink coffee. And based on those answers, I'll then pair them up with a cigar that I think will match their palate. But if I was to just tell somebody to go in blind, usually what I recommend they do is start off with a cigar that looks light in color. And even though this is not always true, most of the time, the lighter the wrapper leaf, it's maybe 70% of the time, it's going to be light in nicotine. And if that's their first introduction to tobacco, I don't want them to throw up from having too strong of nicotine content in the cigar. But I wasn't that guy when I first started. So sometimes I'll ask them, hey, do you mind having a little bit stronger of a cigar? Because the questions that they answered imply that they want a lot of flavor, which most of the time a lighter cigar isn't going to give you these bold flavors. They're going to give you very light, creamy, what's the refined flavors, as opposed to these bold coffees and chocolates and oaks, right? So it varies from person to person, but in general, I would say start off with a lighter cigar if you're not trying to go infused.
Okay. Y'all got any questions for him? Y'all want to know anything?
I got a question.
Go ahead. Speak up a little bit.
We lightly tapped on this, so I'm gonna ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
So, most of you guys know I'm a Davidoff guy.
Mm-hmm.
The hell what y'all talking about? Davidoff's But maybe 2 years into smoking cigars, I'm about 5 years in now. So, say about 2 years in, I actually ordered some real Cubans from Cigar Group on Facebook. Had them shipped in. They came in from Cuba directly. Mm-hmm. It took probably about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks for me to come. I'm starting to understand, it doesn't require you have to buy $35, $45, $50 cigar for it to be great,
Absolutely, right.
The $15, $16 cigars, give or take, is hit or miss with those because the blend on them are a little bit different. From cigar to cigar, it can be the same cigar, but the blend, there's no consistency with the stick. But I've had some Cubans that are actually cheap in Cuba. Of course, they cost more to get them over here, but they're actually a cheaper cigar in Cuba.
Yeah.
Botargas No. 4. Mm-hmm. Amazing cigar. Very creamy to me.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it was the cream that I liked. Didn't even know why I liked it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I had some Cohibas. I had a No. 2 Monte Cristo, a real one. Mm-hmm. And the No. 2 is great. But
I hear a lot about that. I hear a lot of people mentioning that one as far as a class.
I love
which
that.
one? The No. 2? Yeah, it's great. It's a great cigar. It's no ifs and buts about it. But their Partagas, am I saying right? The Partagas. The No. 4 is, I think it's like a $14, $15 cigar in Cuba. And it's a phenomenal cigar for me. What actual Cubans, and note for everybody out there, Cubans of course aren't domestically available, but if you can get your hands on some real ones, it's a great cigar. They're great cigars to try. Which Cuban do you actually like? Which one would you have in store for a special occasion? Which would be your go-to?
So, if I could get it, it would be the Monte Cristo 80th. They made a New World version, which was an entirely different type of flavor profile. But they have a Cuban version of the same cigar. It looks totally different. There's the only thing that's the same is the name. But that would be the cigar that I would want. I
Price range on that one. How much
Oh
you
man,
for?
I know how much I paid for it. I don't know how much it goes for out there.
Most of them are more expensive out there. I think that's a misconception a lot of people have, is that, you know, it may cost you $50 to $75 or $100
Yeah.
to get a Cuban in, but that Cuban can be anywhere between $10 and $25. Am I correct?
That's
Yeah.
if you
Yeah,
in those areas.
Or if you're in another country that actually sells real Cubans,
Yeah.
it's not drastically expensive.
It's
So,
regular price over there.
yeah, it's what we pay for domestic cigars.
Yeah, I paid like $60 or $65 for that cigar.
That sounds about going rate.
Yeah.
Most Cubans to get upgraded.
And it was phenomenal. But see, because I know your palate, I see why you like Cuban. Like Cubans. So because of the soil that Cuban soil, the nutrients contained inside of Cuban soil produce a specific type of flavor note that you can replicate it to a certain degree using other tobaccos, but it's naturally produced in their tobacco. And what Cuban blenders, so let me tell you the base characteristics of Cuban tobacco: grass, hay, cream, and you'll get subtle nuttiness profiles. The way that the Cuban rollers roll their cigars is different than the way that Nicaraguans roll their cigars. When you light up a Cuban, you're not getting that blast of black pepper on light up like you do when you smoke a Nicaraguan cigar. And
Would you say it's more Connecticut, but not Connecticut? It's more mild body. I mean,
it's
body.
yeah, there's some stronger Cubans out there, but yeah, they're typically medium in strength. And you tend to go for Nicaraguans, and I mean all of the New World stuff that has a creamier, maybe nuttier profile to it. So that's why you're probably liking Cuban. But also, like, what are your favorite vegetables?
Ooh. Green vegetables.
Do you like green vegetables?
Yeah, I do. I'm not spinach. I'm a broccoli guy. I eat a Brussels sprout. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Do you
too many vegetables.
retrohale when you smoke?
No, I've just started.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
started.
Okay. So then, yeah, because usually it's on the retrohale that you're gonna pull out a lot of that grassy, floral hay from Cubans. So it's probably what you're getting on the palate. But I'm not that experienced in Cuban tobacco. I've smoked a good amount of Cubans, but the thing is, and when I say a good amount, I mean it's probably been, I don't know, 20 to 30 Cubans.
Yeah, I mean maybe like 34.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm
You know what,
an expert
yeah.
in that because it's
I'm
legal.
30.
I ain't even hit 10 yet. I can name mine. I've had my first partaker came from him, and I believe that was the same one I had.
Yeah, I think I gave you a number 4.
Number 4.
Number
I had
maybe
a-
a number 2.
it was 4.
Okay.
I had an H. Upman Magnum
Yeah.
54.
Yeah. There you
I've
go.
had the Cohiba Siglo 3.
How was that?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What did it's on the Instagram page. What did I pair it with? I can't remember what I
I have
paired it with. What did I pair it with? I think Martell Blue Swift. Don't quote me, but it is on my page. That was nice. What else? Maybe one more. I'm not sure. I had a couple from Mexico. 2 from Mexico from a friend of mine. I wasn't too crazy about those. Let's talk about Opus X. What's your favorite Opus X? How many different Opus X's have you had?
You're asking me a difficult question.
I want it to be a little different.
I don't know how many I've had.
I mean, far as different ones, you've had through the line.
There's opuses that I know I haven't had because I don't even know where to find them. There's an opus out there that's over $100 that it's like some super exclusive. But I mean, when it comes to the original Opus X, the Opus X Siglo, the Opus X 20 year, I've had those. I've had plenty of all of those.
What you think about this one?
That is the Siglo, phenomenal stick.
Yes,
it has such a unique spice to it that I haven't found in any other cigar. It is amazing. I think I have one in my humidor right now. Phenomenal cigar. Shoot.
The God's Whisper.
The God of Fire? Oh, no, you said God's Whisper.
It's blue. It's the blue X's, and that's the one that's the $100.
But
that's one of the ones that's $100.
That's the one I'm talking about then. Yeah, no, I haven't had that.
Okay, I've been looking.
You know, man, look, I think I told you this before outside of the podcast, but it's the people. It's not iPhones that I hate. It's the people who are fanboys of iPhone that I hate, right? So they make me not like iPhone because iPhone does no wrong in their eyes. It's like, oh, we don't need a charging brick anymore because we care about the environment. Oh, we don't need a headphone jack anymore. And then they change the whole dynamic of all these smartphone companies because they set the trend, right?
We brought up being a Dallas fan.
They tick me off because they do no wrong, right? And that's the same thing with Fuente fanboys. I don't smoke a lot of Fuente. The only reason I smoke Fuente is to be knowledgeable on Fuente for other people's benefit. But in general, I'm not a big Dominican cigar smoker. I prefer Nicaraguan above everything. Second to that would be Honduran. But
second to that is Honduran?
Second to that is Honduran.
That was actually a question I had posed for you. The regions of cigars, what would be your favorite? Nicaraguan has stood number one from everybody I've talked to, opposed to the Cuban lovers. And I guess because it's more accessible.
I think it's also because we're in America, man.
Yeah.
Our foods are not like European foods. I'm not trying to turn this into a ethnic thing, but it's just the truth. When you eat American food that's high in fats and in flavors, we got a lot of fried food here in America, which is very flavorful. But if you went to England, their foods are totally different than ours. They're not as bold and flavorful as what we have. So because our American palates have been trained for super amounts of sugar, I mean, even our bread. You grab a loaf of Sara Lee bread, it's got plenty of sugar in there. If not that, then it's high fructose corn syrup. We drank soda all day long here in America. I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous how our palates have been trained for such overwhelming experience of flavor in everything that we eat and drink here. So that's why I think that Nicaraguan tobacco and the U.S. is the number one consumer of tobacco in the entire world. So we're keeping the tobacco industry afloat. So everybody else has to blend for our American palate, and it just so happens that Nicaragua naturally has that type of tobacco that's extremely pungent and flavorful.
So, Sumatra is from what region? Because I don't like Sumatra.
Sumatra is from Sumatra.
I don't like them at all. It's spicy.
Yeah, it is. It's spicy. You get
a lot of
still going.
Man, dude. Again, geography is not my thing. I know. I can't even tell you. I need the GPS to get everywhere I go. So if it's not here, I especially don't know how to get there on a map. But Sumatra. So Sumatran wrapper leaves.
That makes the Sumatra.
They do. I don't like it either.
I hate it.
I hate it.
That's the worst thing on that I've ever had.
Dude, same here.
I've thrown one away after 2 or 3 puffs.
Say that again on the heat. Say that again.
I've thrown it away after 2 or 3 puffs.
Yeah.
So you don't like Sumatra?
No.
Okay, so
I'm not picky.
I like Sumatra. I just don't like the Davidoff Sumatra.
Okay, that's a segue
Super
to
spicy.
I'm liking how it's flowing. What's your views on the Cameroon? African Cameroon.
African Cameroon.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up for sure. I think that is the most universally enjoyed rack relief out of them all, because it's if there was a vanilla ice cream of tobacco, this is my personal opinion,
that would be it.
If that would be it. It's not. It has this nice creamy taste to it, subtly nutty, subtly floral, but it has this very smooth texture usually. But the number one manufacturer that I know that loves to use Cameroon is Arturo Fuente. They really specialize in using that African Cameroon. But yeah, it's an amazing wrap relief, and I think that if I was to recommend, let's say that you're drinking any type of liquor.
I was gonna go. We gonna hold that.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go there. I'm going. Give me 3 Cameroons you'd recommend if someone came into your shop for whatever reason. Someone wanted, hey man, I just want to leave with 3 quality Cameroons on your recommendation. What would they be?
Oh, you know, I don't recommend based on wrap relief unless the customer comes in. Like, I don't memorize the wrap reliefs of. Again, I'm not a Fuente smoker, man. I really don't smoke Fuentes.
Okay.
So I remember wrap reliefs from special cigars that are special to me.
So,
like the Liga Privada number 9. I know what wrap relief that is because I love it. I don't smoke a lot of Cameroon unless I'm looking for something milder. Then I may pick up a Fuente, but it's rare that I pick up a Fuente.
Okay.
One, Fuente is more expensive for me to buy because I don't get as good of a price on it as I do other brands.
Okay.
Meaning that with my discount, I get a better discount from other brands than I do out of Fuente. Same thing with Padron, same thing with Ashton. So now I will buy a Padron, but that's more my flavor profile because it's Nicaraguan.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about the literature that you're on right now, and then we're going to talk some celebrities. That being your number 1 go-to, once again, the My Father Literature 1922. What do you usually pair it with on your own time? What's your favorite pairing with it? Is it brown, clear, tequila? What's your go-to?
Black coffee. That's my favorite pairing. But
We share that. That's
it would be tequila if I had to pick a liquor.
Non-alcoholic coffee, black coffee.
Yeah.
Is something I pair with cigars on the regular. I mean, these guys will call me, hey, what you doing? Man, I'm sitting on the porch having me a stick. You drinking something? Shit, I got some black coffee right here. It can be this time. 8:17 at night, 10 at night. Some coffee and a good stick. It just goes well with me. I like the notes and everything. It just pairs well no matter what stick I'm smoking.
No matter.
One of my favorite morning sticks to have with coffee is the cafe.
Oh,
Say the name.
the
Cafe. It's light. It's not heavy. It's mild.
not the Cafe Dulce.
No.
Not the Nub Cafe.
No.
The
Oh my goodness.
you're talking about the Rocky Patel.
Macanudo.
The Macanudo Cafe. Yes.
The Macanudo Cafe in the morning.
I love that stick in the morning, man.
Either before or after breakfast. If
Dude.
I wake up in the morning, get out of bed, and it's a good sunny day outside, and I'm just feeling hella good, and I want to sit on the porch and smoke, man, I'm just gonna smoke before I eat breakfast.
Look,
I got me a cup of coffee, and I got the Macanudo Cafe, and man, it puts me in the morning bliss.
you know what I need you to smoke? Instead of the Macanudo Cafe, light up the Davidoff Signature 6000. 6000 is the size. Signature is the blend.
It's
Connecticut, like the cafe.
And let me say this. So jumping back to Davidoff, excuse me. I like the darker cigars and the more heavier cigars. So I see they have a lot of the white label, and I just don't. I haven't dealt with many of them. I think I might have had the original, which is a white label, right? I think I might have had.
There's the Grand Cru. There's the Anniversario.
Anniversario.
Anniversario. Okay, what did you think of that? I'm not a fan of that.
That's why I stick to. Of course, I like the black label, the late hour. That's another reason. It's okay.
Well, I think that if there
I'm
was
not too much of a light smoker unless it's morning. And like I said, the coffee, but I'm not running to go get no Davidoff just to smoke in the morning and have the coffee. So I don't really deal with that side of the rap.
Yeah.
The choices.
Okay. Well, you would if you like the cafe.
But
a better
6,000
version of
I haven't
that
tried.
is the 6,000.
Okay.
That's like the better version of it. Like
We'll try it.
if when people smoke the 6,000 and they want an alternative that's cheaper, I put them on the cafe. When people smoke the Grand Cru from Davidoff and they want a cheaper alternative, I put them on the White Series Monte Cristo. Because the flavor profiles are very similar. The only difference, well, the main difference is just higher quality cigar from Davidoff.
The parent tequila, you said if you're doing alcohol.
Yeah.
What's your tequila with that?
Whatever's around.
Okay. I'm going to. How is your pairing right now with the green?
It's excellent, man. It's excellent. I'm loving it. But I know I like tequila with this cigar.
Right. Going back, I want to talk about one Monte Cristo. I'm a fan of the Espada.
The Oscuro, the darker reckoning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the signature, which I don't know if they still have them in here.
It's discontinued. No, it's discontinued.
Yeah, I wonder why I couldn't find it anymore. Man.
Yep, I have one for a special occasion that I've been holding on to.
Okay.
And that's Plasencia. It came out of.
That's why I like
factory.
it. And those are the. I don't smoke a lot of Monte Cristo, and I haven't had the number 2. But those, when I heard that they were partnered with the Plasencia or mixed with Plasencia, I was like, that explains.
You like that cream, man. You don't even know it yet. You like
That could be. I don't even know. That could be it. If you have any, what are your top 3 celebrity actors that are known for smoking cigars? I go with mine first. Number 1, off top since a kid, Arnold Schwarzenegger for sure. And the number one character for me was Dutch. Predator 1. I can watch Predator any time of day. I just like Predator 1. When he was Dutch with the cigars, then if you want me to go to the comical side, Last Action Hero as Jack Slater. And then my number 2 guy, you don't hear a lot of people talking about this actor, but it's Raul Julia, which is Gomez Adams. Kept a Stogie lit up. Then also he was in the Street Fighter movie M. Bison. And then number 3, I like Steve Harvey. I just like Steve Harvey's just a phenomenal cigar guy.
Yeah. Okay. So Steve Harvey is in my top 3.
Okay.
But first it would be Al Pacino. His role in Scarface made me absolutely fall in love with him.
He's in my top 5. He's in my top 5. That's a good one.
Yeah. Right? I love Al Pacino.
He was on the Miami Cubans and the Cubans. One guy said Miami is not Cuban.
I guess it would be Arnold, man. I love Arnold's films, but he's not. Funny enough, none of these 3 actors are actually my favorite actors. They're just my favorite actors that smoke cigars.
None of them are my favorite actors.
Yeah.
My favorite actor is actually Eddie Murphy.
Oh, what?
And I don't even know if he's but see, this is crazy. You know how we were talking about favorites since a child, so mine is kind of complex. My favorite actor is Eddie Murphy. My favorite movie does not involve Eddie Murphy, but the guy ties into him. My favorite movie is I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Oh man, that's a great movie.
That is my
fucking classic.
number one favorite movie. I watched that movie front to back so many times as a kid. I think it came out in '87 or '88.
Yeah.
So I was 3 or 4. And my parents were old school, so we watched all that. I watched Eddie Murphy Raw. That's my favorite comedy special. My favorite comedian also. So, that's that.
Yeah.
You have a... Who's your
That
top?
smoke cigars or just type?
Yeah, top 3 actors that smoke cigars in the movie portrayal.
Arnold's on that one. I would say number 1, number 2.
Man.
Yeah.
Sylvester.
Mm-hmm.
He's a cigar guy.
I almost put him in there.
Yeah.
The Italian style. That's what
Yeah.
they call it.
Right.
For a few reasons. And then number 3 would be, I'm not a Steve Harvey guy at all. I don't like Steve Harvey. I don't like that about him. I can relate to him smoking cigars, but
That's what I relate to.
Yeah.
I like the cigars.
Same.
He
no
loves
offense
having
to Steve
stick.
Harvey fans, but I think my third would be trying to think. I'm processing. I don't
Take
like
your time.
to I'm processing. So shit, man, that's a hard one for me because cigars are a cliche thing for a lot of people,
Right.
Just gonna go back a little bit.
Go ahead.
But somebody I can remember having a cigar lit all the time. A lot of young people probably don't know. Red Fox.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Red Fox always kept a stove.
It's just personality, like we're gonna talk about comedians. He's a segue into Eddie Murphy or somebody like that,
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I just know him for always having a cigar lit, doing his coolest commercials back in the day when I was a kid. Young kid.
He was involved nights too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
And he had a stogie. For the audio listeners, you can't see who's in the studio with us. So I'm gonna ask the 2 fellas to my right. Keith, do you have or even off top, do you have 3 actors who were known for smoking cigars that you like, just cigar? We're talking cigar purposes.
I'm not as studious in terms of cigars. I'm sitting here just enjoying the lesson.
Okay.
Actors are
Yeah, only actors. I'm gonna get into some sports figures in a minute.
Rick Ross would be considered an actor as well as an entertainer.
Well, I get it. Yeah, well, okay.
And I forgot one. Not to cut y'all, not to say that I thought of one, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So and honestly, I really don't. What I found interesting about Winston Churchill as a politician, I can relate to that. I can relate to why I can relate to why Winston Churchill smoked
11 cigars.
in that World War II era, right? He had a lot of stress. So I think that's 2, definitely an actor. There's another American president that smoked quite a few, and that might have been. I don't think it was Kennedy. Kennedy was a cigar smoker, but he wasn't as.
You ordered quite a few before we couldn't.
I don't think it was it Roosevelt?
Yeah, Roosevelt. Yeah, that's who it is. Roosevelt. Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, I'm thinking after it's Roosevelt.
So they talking about. I'm gonna bring up a nugget about a president shortly. Let me ask Justin. He's another young buck, minus my guest Clint. He's one of the, if not the same age. You're 32. You're
31.
31. He's the baby in here. Do you have any actors that were known for smoking cigars, or you watch movies coming up that had a cigar that was?
He said it best. Al Pacino. That's all I know.
Okay. Old Tony Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got a nugget, right? Let me see. Let me see real quick. Give me a second.
He made me think of somebody, man. I don't know how I forgot this one person, but he ain't acting.
Who is it?
Who is
Jay?
MJ?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mine is MJ. I don't know how we forgot Jordan up there.
If you count Space Jam,
Yeah. Chill. Every championship. Which one?
Wasn't he in the movie?
Oh, Michael Jordan?
No,
no.
Jay-Z.
MJ.
Jay-Z?
I don't think he's been in the movie.
Jay. You saying Michael Jordan or Jay-Z?
No, I'm talking about Jay-Z.
Talking about Jay-Z now.
He was in State Property.
Yeah, but nah. Athletes is
Yeah.
when we get to that. Yeah. That's number one.
Let me see real quick. I had okay. So Joseph Broz Tito. Y'all familiar with him? You a politician. You familiar with Joseph Broz Tito? We talking 1971. Okay. Joseph Broz Tito in 1971 was the leader of Yugoslavia. While in a meeting with the U.S. President Nixon, he sparked a Cuban in a room full of media and press. Smoking in the White House was forbidden since 1946. The meeting, they were honoring him over here in the U.S. The meeting happened when the U.S. and Cuba, they was beefing at the most hostile point. Nixon told him, "We don't smoke in the White House." Broz Tito looks at him, keeps smoking, and says, "Lucky you."
Thank God he did
So
Nixon, right?
that I know of. I heard that and found that out, and I was like, damn. So the reason I bring it up is just because, just like Arnold, in my time growing up as a kid and watching him so much and watching these cigars and this cigar culture, that was some boss shit.
Yeah.
And that I know of. I'm not sure if he was the first, but I'm gonna say that was the first cat to smoke in the White House and say, shit, fuck what the president talking about in your home.
Mm-hmm.
That's boss right there, right? So, another nugget, a guy named Groucho Marx. His wife gave him an order to put out his cigar or find a new wife. He chose to get a new wife. Crazy. Zeno Davidoff made a statement or a quote: "If your wife doesn't like the smell of your cigar, change your wife." These were top tier cigar guys. That's what I just wanted to drop that on
there.
there.
Boss statement.
Yeah, these are boss statements, around cigar culture. Talking about athletes, man. What are some of your top athletes that you like that smoke cigars, that are known cigar smokers?
There's only one athlete. So when my grandfather passed away, I got out of sports entirely because that was just our thing.
I think I know who you're gonna say.
No, it was MJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it was Michael Jordan. That was it. But I remember watching the Rockets when Barkley was playing, Hakeem Olajuwon, stuff like that. And then when he passed away, that was it. There were no more sports in my life. Really, he was the only male figure in my life that even cared about sports. I had an uncle.
Are you a big sports guy?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
I like playing pool, which is technically a sport.
That's
But
why you're my man. I'm that man on that table.
Yeah,
Can you shoot?
Yeah, I can
Or
shoot.
you like playing?
Both.
Okay.
But I can shoot.
Because I say it's a difference. I got a guy up here. He like playing. He think he a man.
I'm not the man, but I can play.
I done taught him a little something. I taught him how to shoot. He got his stuff together. He done took his act on the road, and he done got a couple of wins. Cats that he meet on the road when I'm not around, and he able to call me. And this is in other states and cities. He can get on the phone, and they actually paying homage. Say, "Hey, your little brother can shoot. You think you the man up there?" Like, all right, y'all let him know who sensei is. But that pool, I come up under a pool shark as a kid. My father was well known for shooting pool. That's what he did. I'm not the best, but I got a stick. I'm known within areas I've been to for getting down on that.
You got your own stick?
And gambling. And I don't get my own stick. I can show up and shit. If you cut off a branch and get all the limbs off, shit, I kick some ass like that. So I'm on that pool. Athletes. Ray Lewis has a cigar, so I'm guessing you haven't tried any of these athlete cigars, and I'll just name these four. So most notable, Ray Lewis has a stick, his own line of sticks, which is called Legend 52. And would you like to guess who it's by?
Rocky Patel.
You knew about that?
Yeah, Purple
Rocky
Label.
Patel in 2015. Yep.
Yeah.
The Purple Label, which is fitting because he played for the Raiders. Karl Malone. Laura, aged by Karl Malone. Have you had that stick?
LFD, right?
That is a, huh?
By LFD.
No,
No,
Laura.
Oh, Lord.
Laura. I've had that stick quite a few times. It's creamy. It's a pretty good stick. Now, they have it up the way, at a lounge up the way, and I've had it. It's a pretty good stick. Ed Reed, former Hall of Fame safety for the Ravens, also, he has his own cigars, which is called the ER Fine Cigars. Rolled by Placencia, distributed by Stolen Throne Cigars. Are you familiar with Stolen Throne?
No.
I'm not either. I figured you might have known. But you are familiar with Placencia,
Yeah.
being that you're a Placencia guy, you know
Yeah.
Placencia.
Yeah.
You may want to try that.
Yeah.
So here's something that's kind of special to me, and he's possibly gonna hear this clip and also hear the podcast. Ed Reed interacts with me on Instagram on my Cigar Vibes and Cognac Conversation page. And I just asked him, I've asked him quite a few times, it took some time for him to get to respond to me. And I asked him, hey man, where can I find your cigars? Do you ship to Texas? Because I've been looking for the longest to support you. You know, I've been on this live and all that. And he responded just day before yesterday, Thanksgiving. Yeah, oh yeah. So, and I sent it to him, and he told me, go ahead and look on this site, and you know, get what I'm looking for, whatnot. But I think the only place he ships in Texas right now is oddly Port Arthur, Texas. So yeah, but he partnered with Placencia, and then the other guy is Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, who has 85 cigars. That's just some notable athletes that have their own sticks, and I'm looking to try them outside of Karl Malone. But if you haven't had a Karl Malone stick, that's a pretty good $10 stick, cream. So it's pretty good.
I think you can get the MJ stick. It's called MJ23. It's custom.
Now, see, I wasn't even sure he had a stick.
It's
I
not.
knew he
It's
had
not
tequila.
let me say it's not retail. I think it's Cuban, if I'm not mistaken, right?
MJ stick?
Yeah, MJ23.
It's I don't know.
Yeah, this guy's on. It's a very long stick. He smokes it on the Last Dance. He smoked it the whole time on his cigars never really have a label on it either. They're more like a white label with a writing on it. It's not. It's made by either. I may be wrong. Monte Cristo or some other big box brand, but it's especially blended for him. Now I know they have some extras that they do sell, but they're hard as hell. Even in the little groups I mean, where I get my Cubans, they're hard as hell. They're usually like $150 a stick or $100.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're hard to get. You can get them, but they're hard to get. You gotta know somebody to get them.
Okay, I'm going to propose a question all the way around the room, starting with the main guest, Clint, and then I'm going to go to, I'm going to talk about price tags, just because you said that $150 stick. But the question to the room, the panel is, starting with Clint, are you an after meal smoker? And do you believe in after a meal, there's nothing like a good cigar, which was quoted by Clint Eastwood in the original movie line from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, in which Clint Eastwood played the good. I don't know if y'all follow westerns from way back. My father was a big western man, Clint Eastwood, and those guys, that was one of those guys. So are you an after meal smoker?
I'm
like
as soon as I wake up smoker. I'm a after breakfast smoker. I'm a before lunch and after lunch. I smoke all day, man. Like I'm any time of the day smoker.
Okay. I'm going to Joseph next, but still on you, Clint. With that being said, what was your after meal smoke for Thanksgiving, or did you even have a stick? I believe I texted you, but I don't know if you responded.
It was so cold outside. I didn't even smoke a cigar. I was like, forget that.
Okay. Joseph, you're after meal smoker. You believe after a good meal deserves a stick?
Absolutely. The cigars that I smoke, you better not smoke one before you have a meal.
Smoking.
I don't smoke.
Not made for smoking on the
I'm not a Connecticut guy. I will have one, but yeah, no, after meal, and to answer the second part of that question, Thanksgiving, I actually had a cigar. My go-to consistent cigar in the current, my current consistent cigar, the cigar itself is consistent every time I smoke it. It's 2 sticks, which I had both of them after Thanksgiving, was a Romeo and Juliet Envy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the starter, and then I ended with a smooth blend of a 149, which is consistent. It's a $12, $13 cigar. It's always got doggone consistent.
Yeah, great stick.
But that's consistency. If you got something.
I love the 149.
Yeah, excellence.
Keith.
I prefer actually during the day. I'm more like
After lunch?
No, so ironically, more so morning. If I smoke a cigar throughout the day, I'll put up my laptop and it'll be the most productive I've ever.
Yeah, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah, doing that.
Justin?
After the meal, that's how I feel.
What's your go-to stick on any given day? I just want to enjoy the day. What's your go-to
Oh, you
stick?
know, fat bottom of the bed.
I'm gonna present that to Clint. I'm glad you said that. That was a hell of a segue. This is a hell of a segue. Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
That's my go-to it all the time.
I am a
Clint, if you don't want to go on yours, you can have one of mine.
Oh, no.
Sure.
We're good, yeah.
I am a few times a day.
I got
If
that
I can, I am. And my Thanksgiving stick this year, I had the Oliva V series. What did I pair it with? I paired it with, man, they were drinking so much shit, fixing me so much shit. Hell, somebody poured me some tequila. I had some tequila on the rocks. I think later I went to just some off-brand whiskey, for real. Yeah. Go ahead, speak up, man. We want all that on.
So, no, I pulled out the Rocky Patel BBS.
Let me check that out.
It's probably their newest release. If not, it's one of their newer releases. And
Y'all carry?
yeah, we carry them. And I was telling him so when I first had this cigar, I was actually embarrassed because somebody in front of Nish was like, "Hey, man, why didn't you turn me on to this cigar?" And I was like, I just didn't. But really, in my mind, I was thinking, it's because I hate that cigar. But that was because I didn't have it in this size. I had it in a much bigger ring gauge, so it tasted like pepper and wood.
And what size is that you're
This
smoking?
right here is the Robusto. And this Robusto, this wrapper leaf apparently is what's producing a lot of chocolate from it. So I got a lot of chocolate out of this size. So now if I ever, or when I buy this again, I'm gonna buy it in the Robusto.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was like, no, I think you turned me on to that. I'm thinking, no, I know I didn't turn you on to this because I wouldn't recommend it at that time.
Okay.
But now it's redeemed itself. So
I'm jumping back to the beginning of the episode, the beginning of the conversation. I asked Justin what was his his go-to stick.
yeah, what was it?
And it was the Fat Bottom Betty.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? And that's crazy because his go-to now is the Fat Bottom Betty, but he used to be a Superfly guy.
Oh yeah, also cocoa.
He used to be a Superfly guy. So I think I put you on Fat Bottom Betty?
You put me on fat bottom.
Yeah, so Fat Bottom Betty. So my question with the Fat Bottom Betty being the topic right now, you were talking about infused cigars earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Bottom Betty, is that really considered an infused cigar or just a sweet tip?
Man. So, if you look at Deadwood Tobacco's website, they don't call it an infused cigar. they call it an aromatic cigar, which, if you know pipe tobacco, aromatic means flavoring added, right? So, me personally, I think that Deadwood is just marketing it with a different type of label to explain that it's just flavor added. What I can say is it's not just pure tobacco. There is something that's making it that sweet. Now I don't know. I haven't cut off the head of the cigar and smoked it to see if the tobacco itself is infused, but
Which I never thought of that.
It's all the way.
I'm almost positive that the tobacco itself is infused. It's not just the cap, because that flavor stays consistent through the entire cigar of that sweet chocolate note that
And
you.
I just thought it was hella flavor right in that tip.
No, it's all the way through that stick, man.
Yeah.
It's no
I mean,
way.
no. Yeah, of course, smoking it lasts all the way through. I just thought it was just a.
Well, I've cut the head off, so yeah.
Oh, so
I
you-
cut the head off
you
on the
done-
big. I don't know what you call the big fat one.
Yeah,
I've cut it. Yeah, I've cut the head off.
Okay,
it's all
so-
the way through the damn stick.
He's already said because he's relit stick number 2, and then you're having stick number 2. What do you have now?
Me?
Yeah,
A Killer Bee by Blackworks Studio.
never heard of that.
This was gifted to me from somebody. I didn't
You
buy
like it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have,
green
I have
worded
a
is
question.
better.
Go
I
ahead.
have a question for you. Clint. There's one cigar that I'm gonna go with. 9 out of 10. Probably 99 out of 100.
Tell you what that is.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The two that I will veer off, the two that I will veer off, just Fat Bottom Betty and it's a body black. I know it's a body black, it's more in, more of a affordable cigar. Just what is your opinion about that?
Well, tell me number 1.
Oh, from San Solar Mason.
Yeah.
Critical Day.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know. That's my extent.
That is his go-to stick through and through.
Yeah. So the Sobremesa Brulee is one of those exceptions that when you actually taste the cap on that cigar, it tastes like a sweetened tip, but it's not. This tobacco is actually that sweet. So however Steve Saka, which is the owner of that company, however he grew that tobacco, he grew it to where the sugar content in that Connecticut leaf is actually that sweet, which I think is extremely impressive, and I admire that about. I think it's one thing to make a cigar taste a certain way because you're adding something to it, but I think it's a lot more respectable when you're able to grow it in a way that's going to produce that flavor naturally.
Right.
So, yeah, the brulee is phenomenal. I don't smoke it a lot, but I don't smoke a lot of light cigars in general unless it's like morning time or if I'm just on an empty stomach, then I'll smoke a light cigar. But yeah, he did his thing on that cigar. What was the question though?
And well, that you answered it, but the tobacco black, I know it's more affordable. It's not the high, but I enjoy it. And I actually enjoy those in the morning with coffee. Yeah, I would keep the black coffee. I mean,
So he gonna throw this cream and sugar in there. We've been on the road quite a few times. He gonna throw some sugar in that.
keep the black, but that's what I enjoy.
I mean, the Tobacco Especial Negra is the cigar you're talking about. That cigar, you get really nice chocolate notes out of it. You do get coffee from it and earth. A little hint of black pepper, but not much. I mean, it's a good infused cigar. I don't smoke a lot of infused cigars now, but I remember I really loved that cigar at one particular time.
So
And
tobacco is infused.
tobacco's infused, yeah.
Are you tasting on flavors? His flavors on?
Yeah.
He put me on my first. I had it. I don't remember it being flavor. I only had it at one time. I don't remember it being flavor. But okay.
So I got a question.
So just stop the put. Okay. Well, With that being said, man, we put in a good 2 hours, man. Clint, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man, and sharing your cigar knowledge with any listeners, any stogies, any cigar lovers. You're a good guy, man. You know, I was glad to meet you and find out you had a page after knowing you from some time. I found out offshore, got on YouTube and seen you had a page. So for anybody listening, and anybody viewing, if you're on YouTube and you're into cigars and you want to hear some great top-notch reviews, check out Momento Cigars, right?
Yeah.
On YouTube. You can go ahead and share your information.
Or TikTok. TikTok is what I would prefer you to follow me on, just because I have the biggest following there. It's actually I'm reaching 11,000 followers on TikTok right now, so I'm pretty stoked about that. But it's Momento, Momento Cigars. That's on TikTok and on YouTube. But yeah.
And once again, his name is Clint. He is the most interesting and fashionable tobacconist in the world. Thanks for coming on, my man.
Thank you, brother.
Well, that's it. Another episode of Cigar Vibes and Cognac Conversations. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.